Record. Here we are. Hi, everybody. I'm here with Sterling.
Good morning,
Top
everybody.
of the Sunday morning to you. So listen, there's something that, well, you told me that a famous person was supposed to die, and it was Regis Philbin, and also Olivia Havilland died today. She was 104 years old. I let some of my friends know, and they go, "Oh, I didn't know she was still alive." But God bless her, 104.
Yeah, absolutely. A very nice long life. Absolutely.
But Sterling and I were just saying, probably, you know, they usually come in threes, so we'll probably get one more. But I wanted to talk real quick before we get into the questions about your prediction with the water, which is coming true. Tell us about it.
Yeah, I think we just saw there was a press release. It was July 22nd or something that some of the strictest water standards were going into effect. First in Michigan, but then they were going to roll out nationwide. Now, Linda, you'll appreciate this. The strangest thing is, I think on that day we did the show, my guys kept saying, water, 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 talk about the water. I'm like, why? You know, it didn't sound like something I should really be talking about. But actually, my wife, Linda, said, no, you should mention it. So we mentioned it, and sure enough, you know, a week or week and a half later, it came to pass. So the guides kind of always know what's going on.
They sure do. They sure do. That's great. Okay, so we got questions, you guys. And here we go. From the other side, can you tell us if Notre Dame has any messages for us?
You know, I can. You know, 2 times this week, actually, he came through, which was kind of nice. And he came through, each time he came through, he actually just wanted to make sure it was clear to everybody that part of his predictions were for the pandemic. I think there was some press or some media that were saying that they weren't crediting Nostradamus with predicting the pandemic, but he's saying he did, being very clear. The other thing that was interesting was he kept telling me 18 and 2, like 2 different numbers. And so I kind of asked him for a clarification, what are you referring to? Because he wrote like well over 1,000 quatrains, those poems. And what he finally said to me this week was, he said, what I need everybody to know is that 18 of my most important predictions have already come true. 9/11 was part of the 18, you know, worldwide. But he said there's 2 more coming over the next decade. I'll give you 1 to 2 decades here. So we'll get a little more information on that. But he kept saying 18 have come true. There's 2 more coming. So the last thing he told me was he was going to work along with a lot of other psychics and mediums to try to help, you know, the universe move forward. So come through to everybody that was receptive to him. So
yeah, because it's getting ugly energetically. There's so many heartaches going on right now.
absolutely.
And that hurricane weather is getting worse. It's going to be worse.
Right.
All right, my friend. Okay, so you'll let us know when you get the hit on what the other 2 are?
I will.
And you guys, you know, Sterling does not have his own YouTube channel. He may do that at some point in time, but right now, we're having a good time here. So he's good. He's cool.
My home is on the Linda channel.
Your home is on the Linda channel. All right, my friend. Like I said, I'm a little jealous because everybody's saying, when you talk to Sterling again, can you ask him this? And nobody's asking me. So, but no, it's cool. Okay, what's going on in the Bermuda Triangle?
That's 3 principal vortexes that are coming through that create a very strong magnetic field for the Earth. And the other thing that's interesting about it is that it actually gets intensified depending on the planetary relationships. So depending on where the planets are in the solar system, that magnetic effect is magnified. So it's a real physical phenomenon that I think over the years they're telling that people have said was either magic or hocus pocus or something of that nature, but it's a real phenomenon. So
wow, yeah. Now, according to Edgar Casey, if I recall, wasn't Atlantis buried deep down where 45 is? Where 45 is? Where the Bermuda Triangle is?
Yeah, I believe there's definitely a relationship to that. Absolutely, yeah.
There's a herbal tonic that people are taking in Madagascar to protect against COVID-19. Does it work?
Not the way people think it works, but I remember a number of Sundays ago, we talked about some sort of a breakthrough on COVID-19 coming from a remote part of the world. So some of the tonic that's been developed, some of the work in Madagascar is actually going to help lead to understanding COVID-19. So
Oh,
the tonic itself is not necessarily the cure, but what they've discovered and they're playing with is actually going to help towards understanding the blueprint of COVID-19.
awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, what do you see with the U.S.-China relationship given the closing of the consulate in Houston?
Good news is very little effect because it's not going to affect the long-term strategy between the two countries,
Right.
and it's something that's very transitory effect. And in fact, as you get into next year, that embassy will open back up. So once the
With the new
new
president?
right.
Okay. Well, they just closed one down in China too, but it's tit for tat.
Exactly. So.
Will Trump use his police to intimidate or shut down polling centers on November 3rd?
He's certainly going to try. And so what they're telling me is to be a very light presence. So like maybe, troops standing a block away or something, but it won't be anything that will be significant enough to stop the voting. So they're calling it a light presence, not a heavy, presence. So
Right. And we're getting some of our own people in there too.
we are.
Democrats are.
We are.
Is there a possibility of martial law during the election?
What they're telling me is Trump is certainly going to try. And martial law requires a presidential decree. However, the Congress is going to fight back on it.
Yeah.
So it'll be one of the times they say, wait a minute, you're not doing that. So he'll actually, it'll fall by the wayside. So he'll raise it as an issue. Yeah.
Will there be a convergence between heaven and earth?
That's a good one. That's a good one. I think not in the way that the person asked the question asked. So they'll never completely merge. There are two different energy planes, but a lot of the universal energy and the higher energy will certainly be closer to Earth. So many more people will feel it, but not in the sense that heaven will become Earth, so to speak. I think
right.
that was the question. Yeah.
That's the shift. That's the new beginning. That's what's
Exactly.
happening now. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
The Electoral College votes on December 14th, 2020. Will there be any problem or issues in certifying the election?
Nothing substantial. So they're going to fight it to the end, but by the time we get to year end, it'll all be certified. The election will be certified. So there'll be a lot of kicking and screaming. Yeah. So.
Yeah, and I see him getting so mad he leaves.
Yeah, because deep down he's a coward, and so
right. And he doesn't want to stand up there a loser. He doesn't want to be a loser.
Exactly.
Can your deceased family members hear you when you talk to them, or are they just gone to another plane?
They absolutely can hear you. That's an easy one. And the interesting part is, as soon as you call them forward, in an instant, they can be with you. So they absolutely hear you when they pass on. I see that all the time with people, that I read and talk to. Yeah.
Right. Will Trump and the Republicans do anything damaging after the election before the inauguration? We got a lot of fear-based energy.
Yeah.
People are frightened of him. I don't blame them because he's such a wild card,
He is. He make a great game show host.
Right.
Which is what he was, yeah. I do see before the end of the year comes, the Republicans in their entirety are going to try to pass one more tax deal. And they're going to actually try to pass it under the guise of this is going to help the COVID-19 pandemic. Like, pass this tax bill. It's the whole trickle down thing again, but it's not going to go anywhere. So they're going to make one more run at it before the end of the year to try to get tax benefits for their friends and their buddies, but it won't work. So.
And the other thing is, as soon as Biden gets in there, he's going to start taxing. He'll reverse all that stuff. But he's
Yeah,
going to hit the one. Remember, that's what Clinton did and was able to take us out of a bind. But they hit the highest numbers.
absolutely.
Hit them good too.
Yeah.
Can an animal come back as a different animal species?
Yeah, yes, and in my experience, as well as what they're telling me, there's some commonalities between certain animals, like horses and dogs, for example. I do see, and it happens occasionally, where horses and dogs will transpose and come back as the opposite. And you can actually see some of this by the very close love you see being exhibited between like horses and dogs. So it does happen with certain species. Absolutely, yeah.
Do all living creatures have an aura?
They do, they do. And interesting that the reason that human beings can't see it is humans only see a very small portion of what I call the visible light spectrum. So, so the auras are kind of slightly outside the visible light spectrum, but they're all there.
Okay.
And yeah.
Will Edward Snowden ever be seen as a whistleblower and let back into the country? Is he a spy?
Not a spy in the clinical sense, if you will. He will be let back in the country. It looks like even as soon as next year. They're going to ask him to serve. Looks like for me 1 to 2 years in prison, just for
Okay.
like revealing secrets. But it won't be on spy charges, and I feel like he'll even get off like on good behavior. So maybe he serves 6 months to a year of a 2-year sentence.
Right.
But not a spy. But sharing secrets is what they're going to put him away for.
Okay. And the other thing I got is reality winner. I see her getting out of jail way earlier than what they put her in for.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I agree.
What is Nancy Pelosi signaling to us by referring to herself as second in command?
They're getting very close in conjunction with the FBI on having some very concrete records of not just money laundering, but secrets that have been sold, which then put the presidency at risk. So it's a matter of, she's tipping her hat a little bit. Actually, she's signaling to a lot of the larger, Congress, let's all play fair here because we've got some very serious, secrets. And yeah, so she's signaling.
Yeah, they give Biden an actual. They came in and gave him a lot of secrets since he's the running mate for presidency.
Right. Right.
Yeah, because they're gonna. I'm telling you, Trump has given away everything.
Yeah. Sure
And
has.
of course, Putin is laughing. But the good news is, I don't know if you've seen on the news, they are marching in Russia as we speak. Okay, can you tell us anything regarding the blue hole? Who you calling the hole? Oh, hole. WHOLE. Can you tell us anything regarding the blue hole?
If it's the blue holes, there's actually many of them around the world. Interestingly enough, there are some ones are much larger. These go back 15 to 20,000 years around
What
the
is
Earth's
it?
history. Yeah, well, they're created thousands of years ago. They're telling me 15 to 20,000 years ago. But as the sea levels rose, that became like a deep water hole. So there's a little bit of a geographical thing going on there. But interestingly enough, because they're so deep, they actually serve as a very good entrance point for alien craft. So
Mm-hmm.
you see alien craft, there are some bases underwater, which our military already knows about, but they use some of the blue holes around the world to enter and exit.
Isn't that something?
Yeah.
Any new advancement regarding the replacement of human organs or limbs?
Yeah. Substantial progress around 3D printing using biological material. So just the way you could do 3D printing right now, there'll be advances over actually the next 4 or 5 years here of using biological material and 3D print body parts, fingers, hands, arms, that kind of thing. So yeah, it's coming. Yeah, and then it looks to me like in 10 years, they're actually able to then graft or somehow they integrate muscle material into those 3D printed limbs. So now you've got muscle control as well.
Wow, that's great. Can I ask you something that's not on here? What about spinal cord regeneration for paraplegics?
Yeah, absolutely. Same thing there. They'll be able to use laser and MRI to understand, what cross section they have to recreate, and then they'll be able to 3D print that. So all these technologies are coming together. Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay. Will there be water shortages in the future?
No, and you're going to see advancements only in just a few short years here on creating much healthier drinking water, from a lot of non-standard sources. So not just groundwater, but seawater and water wherever it occurs on the earth. So yeah, really won't be a water shortage, but more advancements in
how to, I know it's very expensive to make seawater into regular water, but it can be done.
That cost is coming way down. It will come way down.
Okay. Oh, do you remember when microwaves, my parents' first microwave was $800?
Yeah.
Microwaves were and VCRs, remember? They were crazy. Okay, what do you get for Eric Prince?
So I'm pretty sure this is the same Eric Prince that was associated with Blackwater. That's the Blackwater reference.
He's the one that's helping with those crazy people going out there, that military that.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, he's part of that.
So I get the same thing. What they were just telling me is that he's still running things behind the scenes, even though Blackwater, they changed names once or twice. They've been resold. They're different ownership, they're telling me. But he's still behind the scenes helping with the worldwide deals with leaders worldwide. So he looks like he's in the background or not associated, but he's still very much a part of the operation, even under a different name. So, yeah.
How do you validate the identity of those you're communicating with in spirit?
It's simple, actually you just have to ask sometimes.
Right. And it tends to be correct.
Yeah, absolutely. And sometimes people may have difficulty understanding who they're talking with, and a lot of times then spirits on the other side, whether it's angel, a guide, a family member, they can offer up an object, like reference an object, a car or something. They say, oh, then it's my father. So they'll help you with an object reference. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, because my guys never say, hi, I'm Ralph, this is Simon, this is. They don't do that. I just hear that firm male voice that talks to me.
Absolutely.
Once Biden wins the election, will Trump's private army in cities across the U.S. stand down?
They will, and so they'll still be deployed. And it looks like maybe half a dozen cities, or around half a dozen cities. Portland might be one of them, Seattle, but it looks like that there won't be a lot of things happening. So they really just have a presence there, but nothing happening.
Okay. Will Adam Schiff and Glenn Kirshner have a position in the new administration?
They will both have White House appointments.
Whoa, okay. Even Glenn Kirshner, okay.
Yeah.
Will they drag Trump out of the White House against his will?
I don't see him dragging him out, but I do see, when it finally comes to bear, that even before, let's say, the military comes on the scene to say it's time for the transition, he's like, as they say, amscray. He's out of there.
Yeah, because I've always seen him, tomatoes being thrown. So it's almost like he says, F you guys, I'm out of here. So he's not part of the changing of the guards?
Correct. Yeah.
But they may drag him into court.
Oh, that's for certain. Yeah, but whether the military drags them out of the White House, I don't see that happening. But he'll run before that happens.
And the other flash, while I'm talking to you, I actually could see that Biden, he is really working on making sure all the details about his new administration are taking place.
Mm-hmm.
He's very, very hush-hush, and if anything comes out, he won't consider those people. But he's doing this new administration, so as soon as January 28th happens, they're on it.
Yeah, I feel Biden, by the way, it looks to me like he has a team of not less than 20 individuals across different disciplines, like in the government and world affairs. He almost has like a working committee. I see it of 20 different individuals. Yeah. So.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be weird having actual smart people doing stuff. Okay, does Trump want to go to war with China?
No, no. But what he does like is he likes having what I call a 10-ton grill in the room, so he can kind of point to all the problems and say everything that's wrong with my presidency comes out of China. You know, trade
Oh, yeah.
policy.
And yet he asked China to help him be president again.
Yeah.
Although I think China's not that interested in him anymore.
Yeah, in their terms, as an asset, he's not that valuable anymore. So it can't really help them achieve their goals. Yeah.
Right. Do you think Putin still likes him, or do you think Putin's done with him too?
I think Putin still has some value. He believes he can get out of Trump. He does. Even once Trump gets out of the White House, there's still some bodies buried where Trump knows about, and there's still some value to Putin, but it won't be on the world stage. So.
Okay. Well, you know, they're marching right now. They're marching in Russia.
Right.
People are done. Okay, what happens to suicide victims when they pass over?
So there's a bit of a life review for everybody. You know, once you pass over, what I've been told is that with suicide victims go over, they spend a little bit more time on the life review. Kind of, you know, sometimes if there is a suicide, it's part of their life path, but they may have cut some of the lessons a little short. So a little bit of a life review, an extra life review for suicide victims, but everybody goes to the same place. So.
Why aren't all the messages from spirit as conveyed by mediums the same?
For me, the other side is a big universal, I'll call it a universal telephone company. There's lots of spirits and guides, and so in the end analysis, the information should and does lead to the same place, the same kind of conclusion. But it is just as like if you have a massive telephone company, there might be just a slightly different interpretation, but it's the same information. So I think it just owes to the abundance of spirits and guides on the side they're communicating.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are there any underwater alien bases?
Well, we almost answered this before at the beginning of the show here. Yeah, no, absolutely there are.
Yeah, I got asked that question too, and I saw it as clear as day.
Yeah, the interesting part though is that the reason there's a lot of information on them, they're extremely deep, and we don't have
whole cities are down there.
Yeah, we don't have a lot of the technology to get down that far easily. There are some robotic craft that can do it, but the government's already aware of all this, and you know, yeah. So the answer is a definitely yes.
And there's a lot of people that have seen the ships come out of the water, even in lakes. What's that movie that Ed Harris and Mary? Is it Master Antonio? Mary, that actress. She's really pretty. They did where they went underground. Remember, it was a movie though, and they were under the sea, and he actually went all the way to the bottom, and the aliens took him. It was a great movie. I'll have to find out.
Well, I might be wrong. Was that The Abyss? Or might be a different movie?
Yes, I think it's The Abyss. Yes.
Okay.
That was a great movie. That is the kind of the image I see. Like they have a whole huge, maybe not cities on the ground, but like a big spaceship that's like a city, and they all live down there.
And a quick point, follow-up point on that is that many people in the military, on military ships, have seen the alien craft coming out of the water and going into the water. There've been many sightings. So, yeah.
Yeah. I imagine the submarine people too.
Absolutely.
Now, listen, I saw real quick off the record, I saw a real interesting article that the cosmonauts, the Russians in space at one of their centers, wherever they go, saw like 8-foot glowing. This is more than one group. It's several groups. Huge angelic forms with beautiful faces, with wings, they said, the size of a 747, that were flowing out there in the space, but they look like angels, they said. But they were very huge.
They have actually pictures of that. Actually, some of the NASA astronauts have got pictures of that. They do.
Can I Google it and find it?
We might be able to, yeah, because I know I've
Okay.
seen them in passing. So,
Wow. Were they gorgeous or are they just brilliant light?
yeah, well, brilliant light, but you could tell I think there were half a dozen of them, and you could kind of tell that it was something that was not of this earth. Yeah,
Right. I
yeah.
have a woman that I read that's in New York that actually was walking down the street one day. She told me this story, and she was talking about these three men, tall, like 7+ feet, all with the same bowler hats with the long coats, walking in unison. And she said
Mm.
it was so weird. She was walking her dog, and one of them did glance at her. She didn't feel frightened, but she thought, who are they? It was like their angelic energies on the earth trying to be with the in crowd there. But yeah, I think she saw, I don't think she saw, I think she saw angelic energies. Okay,
It sounds that way. Yeah.
yeah. Do you see anything coming up for the next week? Woohoo, we got a week coming.
I see more media coverage, and not so good for Giuliani and even Roger Stone. So looks
Ooh,
to me like there's more media coverage coming up of things that haven't gone well for either one of them, but being in the media. Yeah,
isn't that something? So will Barr show up on July 28th?
I think so. I
I
think
do
so.
too. I
Mhm.
do too. But I feel like he's going to give us a nothing burger like he normally does.
He's good at that.
Yeah. Do you have any information that your guides want to share?
They do. So kind of a universal message, but it's take time to communicate with your spiritual guides, because they actually do have a lot of valuable information on a daily basis to kind of help you. And I know a lot of people that I talk with, I suggest call your guides in, ask them for help where you need help. And that's so that the message is really draw on your guides for support because they're there to help you.
Awesome. And I want to ask you real quick, since hurricanes are happening, what are you
Mhm.
feeling about the hurricane season this year?
Yeah, there's one coming up in Texas, I think, right? Is that on the news or
Right
something
now,
about
yeah, but
Texas? Yeah,
it's flooding, but it's not Armageddon. And the one hitting
yeah,
Hawaii
yeah,
is not Armageddon. But there's
yeah.
one coming in from Africa. I personally myself feel like we got big time trouble with hurricanes this year.
I do see they're telling me half a dozen hurricanes, that'd be six coming in, that are some significance. And I won't call it, yeah, it's not Armageddon, but it's a lot of difficulty, a lot of flooding, a
A
lot of the
lot of
same
flooding.
problem. Yeah,
Mhm.
and that's where they're gonna need support from FEMA as well. I think we talked last week about FEMA trying to hire because the disaster's coming. They are.
Right, right. And I see Florida really in the next few years having flooding issues too.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, that went by. That was 2 minutes over, but we cool because I had to ask you a couple of questions. So thank you, Sterling. Thank you so
A lot of
much.
fun. Thanks, everybody.
Bye, you guys.